So I'm doing a lyric breakdown. It's not because I think I'm that interesting. I often tell my friends that aren't artists or anybody that isn't an artist, because I think people have this idea that artists think they're so fucking interesting, which is why they put it out into the world, their art that is. And I can't speak for every artist, but I know for me, it's not that I think I'm all that fucking interesting. A lot of times I'm just trying to make what I feel that I haven't already heard out in the world. With and I put it out with the hope that it'll help someone. Because if I'm looking for it, maybe someone else is too. I'm just often misinterpreted, and since I don't think Genius is gonna be calling me to do any of those or one of those lyric breakdowns anytime soon. And because as I discussed on Cool Boy Square, a song from what was that, like 5, maybe 6 years ago. I'm not popping enough to be invited to Hot Ones because I'm not going to do shit for their analytics, and that's the caliber. Sorry, that's the caliber of person they would invite. Um, and I don't want to be famous because it's a net negative. It does nothing for me to be famous. Whatever the perks are far outweighed by the negatives, especially in the modern day. The pace of everything, how everyone is allowed to weigh in on everything despite maybe not having the qualifications knowledge wise or mentally, if we're being frank, to comment on things. Anyway, this mixtape that I released recently, um, we're going to break this down line by line. I'm going to try to have a visual representation of the lines that require that when I feel it's necessary. But here we go. I'm gonna pause it right here for two reasons. One, if you're wondering why I'm in fucking edge, no, I'm not trying to edge you. I don't do edging. I'm not an edger, but I normally do what I do. I'm gonna make it do what it do, baby. I normally do what I do in Chrome, and don't nobody need to see my bookmarks or the autocomplete in the search bar. Don't nobody need to see that shit. Don't nobody need to see that shit. It's probably some people who would like to see that shit. But that's why I'm an edge. And the second reason I paused is for the lyric breakdown. What you just heard, if you saw episode 1 of this show, then you know what I'm about to do. So yeah, go to the end of episode 1 if you're impatient. But that's what you just heard.
Harnessing hysterics regardless of merit. This ain't for the harlots and parrots, or maybe it is.
Harnessing hysterics regardless of merit. What would I say? Phonetically, syllabically, there's alliteration. I'm just having fun with language up top. For starters, harnessing hysterics regardless of merit. I'm rhyming, nigga. You know? I'm rapping to the beat. The fuck? That's what I do. But content wise, this is a very hysterical song. My delivery is hysterical. I felt hysterical writing it. I'm harnessing those hysterics regardless of merit. It's the very first line on the project, and it defines the MO of the project. If you read my artist note, and hopefully you did, and if you didn't, let me scroll down for a second. Do I really need to read this to y'all? I guess I will. I've got to be direct. Like bloatware, shovelware is a disparaging term. It refers to a, quote, type of video game or software bundle that, quote, implies that the creators showed little care for the quality of the original software, as if the new compilation or version had been created by indiscriminately adding titles by the shovel, in the same way someone would shovel bulk material into a pile. As someone who grew up enjoying some things that would be considered shovelware, I asked myself a few questions. Should we so readily assume that the creators didn't care? What if they poured meaning and love into the project and didn't view it as shovelware, only for it to be referred to as such by the world? What would happen if I made a mixtape that sounded like how Pac Pac made me feel? So, harnessing hysterics regardless of merit. By definition, shovelware is deemed meritless. Music is meritless unless somebody comes along. Well, the world will have you think it's meritless unless someone comes along and say, that shit fire. Or, oh my God, like, that's so fucking good, right? But as an artist, the merit starts with me. I find merit in it, but I'm going to harness this hysterical performance and these hysterical feelings and these hysterics regardless of merit. If shovelware is meritless, I don't give a fuck. I genuinely don't. This is not a performative. This is a Bishop and Juice. I don't give a fuck. Kind of, I don't give a fuck. I wanted to make the song, so I made the song. I felt the need to harness the hysterics regardless of merit. And it sounds good, rhyming wise. So I think. So it sets the tone for what shovelware is referred to out in the world and what I'm going to be doing on this project. This is probably just going to be a nigga yelling about nerdy shit and rhyming in ways they're not used to, ways they don't hear on the radio, or ways they don't. Let me do this. Let me use a phrase from the neoliberal paradise. And rhyming about things you don't talk about at parties. For the record, the neoliberal paradise is much better than now, but that was also a lie. Neoliberal paradise is supposed to be said with a, with a wink and a nudge. But, yeah, that's what I'm doing on this project and in this song. I don't care if you find merit and do or don't. I don't care if you don't find merit or do, because I've never made things to be liked or to be deemed cool. I do things that are cool to me, but I'm spending a lot of time on this line, but I guess it's important. It kind of sets up the whole project. But how referential I get, my rhyme schemes being as, I guess, countercultural as they would probably be deemed, I'm harnessing fucking hysterics motherfucker, we're harnessing hysterics regardless of merit. All right, grab a glass of fucking wine or don't. Kevin Nash voice. This ain't for the harlots and parrots, or maybe it is. Yeah, we're getting cheeky now. To be clear, the usage of the word harlots is not, I understand it has like a biblical sense, a Christian origin, rather. The connotation is very Christian, very, very, very pearl clutching and moralistic. It ain't got nothing to do with that. It's just an archaic term that's funny to use in the modern day. Why is it not for the harlots and parrots? But maybe it is. The harlots society would deem to, would tell you they don't want to hear this shit. And in a lot of cases, I think they wouldn't. They busy hoeing. They busy sucking and fucking and swallowing and doing whatever it is that makes them do what they do. Or doing what they do based on whatever's making them do it. And the parrots, the people who don't think for themselves, the people who just do what they see out in the world because it makes things easy for them, or they don't have any worldview of their own, or they just no direction or whatever, they would likely scoff at this kind of music too, because it's not the typical thing that they would come across. But then again, why be so quick to typecast these people? It could be a hoe in a hoe house right now. This shit came on. She mid dick suck, dick down her fucking throat, mid deep throat. Like, damn, what is this? Hey, turn this up. This shit, I've been waiting on this my whole life. Who this nigga? Denouement? Is he French? You know? Or maybe that parrot just hasn't heard something that will make them expand their mind and think about what it is they truly enjoy in the world. So I already want to flip that on its head. You know, like I'm doing that, hey, that underground rapper sort of thing where it's like, this ain't for the... Maybe it is. How the fuck would I know? I don't see people in such black and white terms. But I'm playing with that. I'm a playful rhymer. I'm a playful writer, more specifically. So I know society, culture would tell you, yeah, this ain't music that the hoes listen to. This ain't music that the cool niggas who dress like everybody else because they want to be cool and they scared and they know the hoes like niggas who dress like this. Let me get some money. Let me start looks maxing and bang my fucking face in with a hammer. You know? Whatever these niggas be doing these days. They'll have you think this ain't for them, but maybe they need this. Maybe they were looking for this. Maybe they aren't. Which is why, you know, maybe this ain't for them. But I ain't even partly embarrassed. Either way, because I said I'm doing this regardless of merit. I'm not embarrassed about who I am, what I find enjoyment in, the references I make in music, the illusions, my voice, my beat selection on this project and beyond, but especially here. I ain't even partly embarrassed, you know? So this ain't for the Harlots and Parrots, or maybe it is. I ain't even partly embarrassed. I'm maybe that kid back in the Vine era doing flips, running up walls, dressed like he made a bomb threat call. First visual representation of the night. This is a very old, at this point, I think it's like 9 or 10 years old. It was a Vine. It was always one of my favorite Vines. I was able to finally locate it. Shout out to DuckDuckGo, because Google has been overrun by AI and SEO bullshit. Can't find anything on there, even if you know how to do advanced searches. This kid, shout out to this nigga. Oh my God. So the nigga getting free. Seemingly not even partly embarrassed as these girls are giggling at him. Maybe they're friends of his, but it always struck me as like they just laughing at this nigga. The nigga could be totally fine and just into what he's into and unembarrassed about it. Maybe the nigga's neurodivergent, which is fine. But regardless, the point is, he's not embarrassed. The giggling doesn't bother him. He's doing what he's doing. He likes to dress like Neo, what Beanie Siegel say, Neo in Matrix. He likes to dress like Neo in Matrix and run up the wall. Oh my God. And in my mind, I don't know what he's saying to this day, but it always, in my mind, the disembodied phrase, it sounded like he said, behold, the perfect flip. Real like Reddit ass language from this kid. But like, I hung out with kids like this. I was never quite that kid. I think it was easy to assume that I was that based on interests and who I hung around. But like the reason I was able to mingle with so many groups of people is because I have a little something for everyone. Okay. To quote the Donkey video. Well, to quote the IGN review that Donkey quoted in the video. I can already tell this lyric breakdown is going to happen across multiple videos because I got to go to work in the morning. But shout out to this kid. I've always loved this Vine. Dressed like he made a bomb threat call. This is Columbine attire. Let's be honest. He got this from the Columbine section of fucking Hot Topic. But Looks like a fun kid, just having fun. Back when you could have fun. Remember that, folks? Remember fun? Hopefully you do because you still have it, you know? But I will point out something though in this lyric breakdown that's very important to point out. He never actually does a flip. You know, I think mentally all these years, I just like, oh, the kid that's running on the wall flipping. But when you watch the video, he never does a flip. He says to me, behold, the perfect flip. But he doesn't do any flips. He's running and jumping. But in my mind, you know, how I remember this Vine, he was doing flips. So I misremembered this Vine. But the line's the line, you know, doing flips, running up walls. If anything, it's still valid because behold, the perfect flip. And this is shovelware, nigga. I'm doing what I want. I'm doing what makes me feel good. I'm recalling things that mean things to me. He's dressed like he made a bomb threat call. No, I make art. I don't make bomb threat calls. I make art. Yes, I know that's illegal now too, but how are you? So in the modern day, as art gets overrun by commerce to a degree we've never seen before, AI, censorship, we are, if not currently in it, and I have reason to think we are, we're currently rapidly approaching and currently approaching a post-art era. People see art as something to put in the background of their fucking TikTok because everyone thinks they're the main character because they look at a screen every day and see people making themselves the main character, so they think they have to be that too, or they have to have a brand, or they have to be, you know, this, that, or the other. So music is just a thing for them to dance to. If they can't use your art for something, then it's useless. They can't use your art for their own purposes. And I don't mean listening to it because that's what music is for, but I mean like we're at that, you know, we're still in an era where artists just started making songs for TikTok, tailoring their creative process to TikTok, to reels and shorts, like keeping that shit in mind as they're creating. I'm sorry, and I don't think this is like me. I don't mean this to be me taking some like noble stance, like I'm gonna be pure to the art. I'm gonna keep it hip hop. I'm gonna keep it that. Bro, it's not even that fucking romantic. I genuinely just don't fucking care about that shit to ever change my process. This is what I like to do. This is what I got in it for. If I ever do something like that, it's because I want to challenge myself. And it's like, let me see if I can make a dance song or whatever. But like, I'm not going to stop making what I make to chase something that I've never wanted, you know? But the kind of art I make, you know, we're already referencing kids that look like they did Columbine, talking about harlots and parrots. You could be like, this is kind of, I don't know why I want to do a Donald Glover voice like on stand up. This is kind of incel-y. I understand how it comes off. But I remind you, if we're operating under the umbrella of words mean things, to be a fucking incel, you have to be involuntarily celibate. And I get around. Nah, but for real. Ain't no incel. Never have been, never will be. But I'm an emotional lad. I ain't no lad no more. I'm an emotional man. I've always been an emotional person. Motherfucker, you know this about me. I'm a fucking emotional guy. Very demonstrative. I wouldn't call myself an emo rapper, but if that makes you feel better, great. By all means, fuck. Go ahead. I relate to this kid and brought him up because I know what this mixtape is going to sound like. I know what my catalog sounds like the majority of the time. But I assure you that's not happening. I come in peace. I mean no harm. I don't make bomb threats. That shit is weird and scary to me and frightening. Um, no, I make art. Yes, I know that's illegal now too, but how are you? So I'm playing with that idea that, making art in a post art age, people look at you, everybody from the aforementioned harlots, like, this nigga is making music for no money. It's a hobby. Ick. Get these hoes to ick. Or the niggas be like, and this nigga still rapping? Ain't you heard? You rapping still, nigga? The fuck? So I'm speaking to it feeling socially illegal. But as things get phased out more and more, the creative, by these algorithms and streaming services and what have you, as expression gets closely monitored in this modern era, Patriot Act style, art is certainly feeling illegal. So I'm being cheeky again. Dressed like he made a bomb threat call. No, I make art. Yes, I know that's illegal now too, but how are you? Basically addressing the people who would have an issue with how I choose to express myself. That's also what I'm doing. It's like, yeah, I know you hate when I do this, but anyway, how are you? I know it's illegal for me to talk about the things that happen in my life. If you happen to be a part of those things, you happen to be a part of it. But I still care about you. I do. How are you? So speaking to people in life, who maybe wish I wasn't so honest in my art, or maybe fear for me being so honest in my art, like, family and everything. I'm checking on all of them, and also the world, the stranger listening. Enough about me, essentially. I know that's illegal now too. I'm this artist living on the fringes, talking about the shit that you don't ordinarily hear niggas talk about. But whatever about me. How are you in 2026? Are you eating? Are you sleeping? Do you care for me or anything, anywhere? I dare you to tell the truth. Listen, I think if you pay attention, you can agree with me. We live in careless times. There are a lot of careless people. Some people are okay not caring. That's their choice. Or they gave up caring. They leave destruction and everywhere they go. They don't care because they stopped caring. They gave up caring. They stopped trying to care. They just go from place to place, person to person, carelessly, not caring. And if there's any hint of care, they got to get far away from it. They got to destroy it. They got to fucking distort it, And then there are the people who pretend to care, So it's like, for me or anything, anywhere, it's like, I'm not necessarily talking about my music or me as a person in real life, my emotions. Not necessarily in that that's not all the line means, because that's part of it, but not just me. Do you care about anything, anywhere? Because here's the thing, that's the part about self-reflection that's difficult for some people. I have been self-reflective to a fault my entire life. I'm learning at my big age that it's dangerous to be so self-reflective around certain people. I would say that's neither here or there, but it's actually right the fuck here in this song and throughout this project. But I do care. Are you eating? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you resting? But I'm asking, do you care for me or anything anywhere? I dare you to tell the truth. Because here's the thing, if you look inside and find that you don't, live your fucking truth. But tell niggas. Be open about it. Be like the president nigga, who will flat out tell you because he's an insane person. You know? Well, he's not telling you because he's insane. He'll tell you that he doesn't care, and the caring comes from being insane. Or the not caring, rather, comes from being insane. But I'm asking because a lot of people are afraid to look inward. It's not that scary. Yeah, it hurts sometimes, you know? There's a line from a rapper who I credit with expanding my artistry and credit with their music doing a lot for me in my life emotionally. But he did my nigga wrong. So I can't give him no airtime right now. Like, you know, he gonna have to patch shit up with my nigga. But he said something. A cracker I don't know asked me if I ever consider myself the problem. I said my work deals with this very often. But I'm about $1, so you're gonna have to buy it in installments. Sure enough, they did. So I say that to say I'm one of those artists. I'm always examining, exploring myself, holding myself accountable, and not just in my art, in my life. You know, that's who I am. I wouldn't feel comfortable running around this fucking world assuming I don't have an effect on it or that my actions don't have consequences and don't affect other people in the world around me, you know, or run away from that reality, you know, that my actions have an effect on people. So you find me in a lot of my art, I guess, appearing to beat myself up or to make myself, to job myself out, to bury myself. But I don't view it that way. I'm working shit out in real time. I once said something, you know, they misunderstood what my art meant. I go into the booth to explore Clark Kent, meaning I don't get in the booth to pretend I'm fucking Superman. I go into the booth to find out who the fuck Clark Kent really is. Who am I? Who is the person? You know, but in that same vein, that's why I'm so interested in the fucking human condition. How are you doing? Again, I don't think I'm that fucking interesting. I like to rhyme words and write, you know. I have a friend who agrees with me in that, like, you know, like as rappers, we're fucking nerds, bro. We're poets. Which I don't personally find to be nerdy, but to a lot of people, like, it's nerdy. You rhyme words. You know, gangster rappers are still fucking nerds. Like, trap rappers, drill rappers, these niggas is nerds. They're rhyming. They're singing songs, you know, rap singers. So basically, I'm not cool, nigga. If you find me cool, I'm flattered, but I'm not cool. I just like to make my songs and you know, try to anyway. I dare you to tell the truth, meaning I dare you to look inward. I dare you to reflect as I do. I dare you to be honest with yourself. You know? The implication being, I feel like a lot of niggas aren't. And it's affecting the world negatively. If a lot of people live their truths openly, did less pretending, you know, you could talk about the people who pretend to care, but it is that phrase, you know, virtue signaling, or they care for the look, you know, they do things and post about it. or they pile on to someone, they dunk on someone so they can appear as if they care, when in reality, they probably don't. It's for engagement. It's to look cool, it's for one reason or another. So I'm asking, like, yeah, do you care about my art? Do you care about my music? Do you think it's good? So it's a lot of, again, hysterics, because I'm in here regardless of merit, but also like I do wonder though. You think I'm fine? You think I'm good? Think I be snapping? Think I be taking flight? You think I be going off? Think I be floating? You think I be, like, what do you think? Do you care for me or anything anywhere? Because it's not just me. I wonder sometimes. Do you care at all? Care about yourself? Hence, are you eating? Are you sleeping? So I dare you to tell the truth. Why? Because we need more truth in the world. Be clear, truth isn't always neat or positive, but truth is truth. And it's clarity, and it's nice to know what the truth is, because then you can operate accordingly. Anyway, they say I rap in code. Brother, it's just English. Am I sending shots or just pointing out where the beam is? Look, I'm breaking it down right now. Ultimately, it's just English. Here's the thing about me that maybe people don't know. I don't like dissing people. I don't get enjoyment out of that. I would be horrible in a beef because I don't want to have to say mean, nasty things, hurtful things about people. That's not where I draw my power from. That's not my purpose. I feel icky whenever my mind is in that realm. There's another talented artist named Alan Wolf. He said something once. Let me see if I can pull it up, because I agree with it 100%. Wasn't a lyric of his, but shit, it certainly reads like a bar. All right, Sean Connery voice, or maybe Snowman from Courage. But let me pull this shit up. He said, I don't believe in beefing with people that I've shared more laughs and meals with than disagreements. I carry a lot of love for people in my heart. Nobody really hates me. I refuse to mistake defense mechanisms as evil. I'd be hurt forever if some of you niggas died. Love. And as much as I agree with that 100%, what I've been finding out, again, like I was saying, some people, you can't be self-reflective around, because they don't know what to do with that other than weaponize it, or distort it. Abuse it. It's the word I'm looking for. There's a word. It's right there. It escapes me. Did I say exploit it? I think, yeah, exploit it. But here's the thing. Yeah. My whole life I've refused to mistake defense mechanisms as evil, but what I'm learning is a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes, definitely not a lot of times, but sometimes a defense mechanism isn't a defense mechanism. It is a hardwired program. Mechanisms can be broken, changed, altered. A mechanism can be deconstructed and put back together better. Certain things aren't mechanisms. This is just how it is. And that's hard for me to accept, because I'm always looking for the good in things. That's who I am. I'm a very Nick Jr. ass nigga at heart. I'm always looking for the good in things and people. If I don't see it immediately, I'm going to try to find it. It's hard for me to accept being told, like, hey, you know what? And some people, it's not there. It's literally not there. and it's for this reason or that reason. It's hard for me to accept. It's heartbreaking that that could be reality. But forgot how I got on this tech. Oh right, I don't like dissing people. So am I sending shots or just pointing out where the beam is? You know, a lot of times it's not even necessarily this song. But who am I kidding? There are definitely lines in this song that people could feel a way about. Um, you know, if they live certain lifestyles or feel like it applies to them, like I'm shooting at them, like I'm taking shots at them. And if they feel that way, I understand because I'm very precise with what I say. Make no mistake about it. I know what I be saying. I know exactly what I be saying. And luckily for the world, I'm not into gaslighting or manipulation or distortion or what have you. If you ask me, I'm gonna just tell you, you know. I'm gonna just tell you. My reasoning may not be something you like. I may end up losing your adoration or whatever, but this isn't that kind of mixtape, you know? Um if I say something that comes off like a shot, I'm observing. I'm observing what I see. I don't write diss records. I process what I see because, admittedly, in the life that I live, it's often all I can do. Because I'm not finna be violent. I'm not finna fucking be cruel to somebody. I'm gonna write a song and anybody's welcome to ask me about it. But hey, I'm doing this right now because niggas would rather shoot first and ask questions later. So how's that for a flip on this bar? I don't rap in code. It might seem, you know, there's much talk in rap of sneak disses. If you picked up on it, how was it sneaky? And in my case, is it a diss or is it me just observing reality? I know we're in a time of people not living in a shared reality. In a time of people running the world that already have trouble with reality and confronting reality and accepting reality and managing reality. Trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to figure out what I'm trying to say. I'm talking about the president again because obviously in some place he knows he's massively disliked. So he just warps reality to make it seem like just blatantly, you know, that's what he does. Some people can't comprehend that because they're normal and it's hard for them to wrap their mind around. But once you understand that this person is not normal, it doesn't make what they do any fucking better, any less cruel. It hurts just as much, but it eventually will cause you to just fucking, you know, detach. Because it's like, you know, I see you when I see you, nigga. But ultimately, all this shit is just anguish. Ain't no sneak diss. It's spelled out. And if you don't think it is, I'm doing it right now. And my sending shots are just pointing out where the beam is. You can read that one of two ways. Am I attacking you? Or am I just showing you that there's a dot on your forehead? I could attack you. I have a clear shot. I'm not taking it. Or am I just pointing out that there's a beam on my forehead? And that gets perceived as a shot because niggas think they so fucking slick. Niggas think I'm stupid for some reason. But it gets to a point where you're gifting them those points. It gets to a point where trying to settle things in a civil manner or trying to operate in a shared reality when a person is just not interested in doing such, you're not just fighting an uphill battle. You're not just like bashing your head against a fucking wall. You're something worse than that. Something much worse than that. And at that point, anything you're doing is just gifting them points. There's no winning this game. And it's worse when you didn't come to play no fucking game and then you realize, oh shit, this is a game no matter what I do. This was always going to become a game in which the rules are I must suffer at all times. Or at least when convenient, you know. That's America. It's also certain people. Be on the lookout. But they swear nothing is personal, but isn't it though? Everything in this world is personal. Everything. All of it is. And that might sound kind of head ass, like, well, yeah, sure, if you trace it, but no, seriously, it's all personal. And personal doesn't have to mean a negative thing. It doesn't have to be personal in relation to revenge or spite. Everything is personal. Everything we do is personal. Your preferences are personal. What you choose to eat that day is personal. What you put on is personal. How you address people is personal. What you prioritize is personal. How you treat people is personal. I'll say this. If you do something and somebody ends up collateral damage, you might say it wasn't personal. But your mindset of it wasn't personal is very personal. Because to me, that reads like, hey, you got hurt, but fuck it, wasn't personal. It tells me a lot about your personality. They swear nothing is personal, but isn't it though? But hey, if that's too much, no need to answer. Again, being cheeky. It's like, I know what I'm talking about. I know that I'm touching on things that a lot of people wouldn't want to hear. So fuck it. No need to answer. We all know I'm on to something, but I get it. There's a reason why people don't say the things that I say, you know, often, you know, or at least on a rap song. Yeah. If I did something that hurt somebody, I wouldn't say, oh, don't take it personally, or it wasn't personal. Because that's, to me, that phrase, you know. I get that it's a turn of phrase, you know, nothing personal, wasn't personal. But it's always felt kind of dismissive to me. It's what you say when you couldn't really care less what happened to that person. And so you say nothing's personal, it wasn't personal. But deployment of that phrase is very personal. It's information. It's telling me, oh yeah, like I'm not a person to you. You know, which is why you feel it's okay to just hit me with a nothing personal. You know, I'm taking it personally because you're not even explaining, you know, not that you owe me that explanation, but I would kind of like to know why you just, you know, If all you hit me with is nothing personal, that starts to feel like you're just a fucking callous asshole. But again, maybe I'm just fucking sensitive. Folks, everything is fucking personal. The phrase "it wasn't personal" is usually deployed by people who don't want to take accountability for their fuckery and for their dick-headed ways. Am I wrong? What that nigga be saying on Instagram, that be showing off his food and be talking like he didn't had a stroke, and then he ends with, "What do you think about it?" All right, what do you think about it? Am I looking too deeply into this? No need to answer. I look around to see terrors in vogue, every cause of it cataloged and never disposed. That ain't living. I would know. In 2026, terror is in vogue. A lot of terrors surrounding us worldwide. In our personal lives, there are terrors around that we're aware of. And for one reason or another, we don't get rid of. Maybe we genuinely don't have the energy. We're depressed. Or it's comfortable. Comfortable? I've never really said it like that. Comfortable. It's comfortable. That's what I say. It's comfortable. You've grown accustomed to it. You've grown complacent, perhaps. That's human. That's fucking human. I've done it. I know. We know it's hurting us, and yet we don't dispose it. We've cataloged everything in our life that should definitely be disposed of or changed or improved upon, and yet we never dispose it. That ain't living. I would know. Self-reflection. I'm not perfect. This is me on record, letting people know I'm as human as you are. I would know, because I do it. It's a lot of shit in my life that I needed to move on from. You know? A lot of things that I keep around because it's a crutch, or it's you know, some things I just genuinely don't have the means to do anything about yet. But a lot of things are just like, I know this is a problem that I need to work on, but I guess not today, you know? That ain't living. That line is really important. That ain't living. That ain't life. I would know. You know, I've fucking been there. That ain't living. I would know. The limit has a soul. Always see it pleading for its resurrection when it's cold. The limit. Whatever that limit is in your life, wherever you feel limited, whatever wall you keep ramming up against that you can't seem to break through, whatever you feel your limits are, it's like they have a soul. It's like it's a breathing entity, your limits. Sometimes it feels that way. I'm saying I always see it pleading for his resurrection when it's cold. Basically, when times are tough, when it's cold, when it's dark, the limit is, it calls to you. It's like, it's too tough to try. Or just lay back down. Like you can't do it. Like just stay with me. It's scary out there. Aren't I warm? Aren't I familiar? It's like a teddy bear, the limit sometimes. You clutch it, you hold it close because you know it. It's familiar, it's something you know. What's that fucking phrase? Better the devil you know? I just realized I've been going through this entire fucking lyric breakdown and haven't been
I ain't even partly embarrassed. I may be that kid back in the Vine era doing flips, running up walls, dressed like he made a bomb threat call. No, I make art. Yes, I know that's illegal now too, but how are you? Are you eating? Are you sleeping? Do you care for me or anything, anywhere? I dare you to tell the truth. They say I rap in code, brother, it's just English. And my sending shots are just pointing out where the beam is, but it gets to a point where you're gifting them those. They swear nothing is personal, but isn't it though? No need to answer. I look around to see terrors in vogue, every cause of it cataloged cataloged and never disposed. That ain't living, I would know. The limit has a soul, always see it pleading for its resurrection when it's cold. Told it no, gotta bundle up, don't mail me back. Many days like that in hell, they ain't tell me that. Had to find out, it's never what it should be.
All right, we're caught up, and we've gone a little farther. I always see my limits pleading for me to, when I'm on that path to betterment, improvement. The limit always pleads like, no, don't get better. Just stay here. When improvement isn't always or isn't such an easy road some days, when it's cold, it's like, yeah, come back to me. Bring me back. You know me. I'm your old pal, fucking low self-esteem. I'm your old pal, fucking eat this Big Mac. I'm your old pal, I got a lot of old pals. But they plead for their resurrection, I bury them, and then I try to, they reach a hand up out that fucking grave. It's like, no, don't kill me. But the change takes place when you tell it, no, nigga, you got to bundle up and don't mail me back. Many days like that in hell. They ain't tell me that. Had to find out. It's never what it should be. Cold day in hell. The phrase, a cold day in hell. The phrase has always meant, like people will say, it'll be a cold day in hell when, because hell is, traditionally depicted to be hot, full of fire. So like, if this is going to happen, it's going to be a cold day in hell, meaning it'll never happen. That's never happening. When pigs fly, it'll be a cold day in hell. And what I'm saying is, you're pleading for your resurrection when it's cold. I killed you, sent you to hell, essentially. And you're trying to come back here where I'm living, trying to have a life, because that ain't living. I would know. I tell that limit, no, you got to bundle up. You want to be warm, nigga? Bundle up. Better throw a fucking coat on. And don't mail me back. I don't want to hear from you. Many days like that in hell. They ain't tell me that. Had to find out. It's never what it should be. I'm playing with that phrase, a cold day in hell. There are actually many cold days in hell. When life feels like hell, it's cold. You know me. You probably don't. But, I like to play with my writing. I like to play with language. I like to play with phrase, They'll tell you cold day in hell, it's never going to happen, or it's, unlikely. That's the point of the phrase. But I'm saying it's many days like that in hell. Hell is cold, not literal hell, but life. Life is hell. When life feels like hell, when days feel like hell, many days feel cold and fucking unforgiving. They ain't tell me that. Because they'll have you believe, a cold day in hell will never happen. I had to find out it happens all the time. Many days like that in hell. It's never what it should be. And that's been my view on life a lot of times, the things you desire, the things you want, it never happens like that. Or the ideal outcome, it's never what it should be based on what they tell you it should be. Or, if you were raised by, loving, caring, compassionate guardians or community, they'll tell you, be a good person. Go out in the world, try to be a good person. And then you go out in the world and you find out the world is not a place for quote unquote good people. I want to stop on that phrase real quick. Good person. I'm not a good person. I've done too much bullshit in my life, I try to be. Whatever that means to me. I try to be decent to people, to the world. I try to be a decent person. I try to be a good person. There aren't any good people. We all have flaws. We all fail. You have to try every day. to be a good person. You know, you'll never catch me being like, I'm a, this is unrelated, but it's late, so I get real free associative. There's that episode of Rugrats where Angelica is just, being a gaslighter. And I think Drew, her dad, has a nightmare, and he's on trial for being like a bad dad, and he's convicted, and he's getting dragged off. I'm a good father. I'm a good father. Obviously different context, because he was really getting railroaded in that nightmare. I'm not here to talk about Drew's fatherhood, though. I think, that it's all parents, no parent is perfect, but Angelica maybe would have turned out better if she was more cared for. But that might have been more of a her mom thing. I don't know. I haven't seen Rugrats in a while, but Charlotte was, of course, the businesswoman. She wasn't always around, Jonathan and babysitters and sending them over to Dee Dee and Stu's house and shit. Drew was kind of a bum too. I don't remember Drew really. No, Drew was always trying to please Angelica, but Angelica was a brat. So it's and Charlotte wasn't around enough to know how bratty she was. That's kind of how I remember it going. So of course Drew would have a nightmare of because he was being gaslit by this little twerp all the time. But anyway, see, I thought I wasn't here to talk about that. The reason I got on all that is him screaming, I'm a good father. Being a good person. You leave that for other people to decide. You let other people say you're a good person or not. I would never feel comfortable being I'm a good person. Me not saying that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It's not that black and white. That doesn't default to bad. It's just, I know I'm not perfect. So I can't be I'm a good person. The fuck? I try to be. It's important to me to try to be a good person. That's what I would say about myself. That is part of my core. I think it's important to try to be a good person. That's something I care about. That's something I'm passionate about. That's something that drives and fuels my interactions with the world. But anyway, to bring it all back, you're hopefully raised to try to be a kind and caring and productive member of society. And you get out in society and find that everybody wasn't raised that way. And a lot of niggas are just out for themselves. So it's never what it should be. Should, meaning, a very idealistic view of the world. Because, should, who's to say? There's nobody saying what should happen. Nobody said life should be fair. I hate life isn't fair because it's true. Like I said earlier, truth isn't always easy or positive, but it's true. Life isn't fair. I hate that, but that'll get me on the subject of what's fair and what isn't. But, it's never what it should be. Either selfishly, what you think life should be, whether in general or, your life, what life should be for you. Or it's never what it should be based on how you were informed things were going to be. They raise you to be in a good world and everybody's going to be on the same page. So you got to make sure you're able to match that goodness. It's never what it should be. Into the next line.
If I was born yesterday, you couldn't have fooled me. See how these phrases flip? But say what you want, I know I'm making sense.
I can tell that's where I'm going to pick up the next video. Second verse. But a cold day in hell, they tell you that that's not going to happen, but it's never what it should be based on what you were told it should be. If I was born yesterday, you couldn't have fooled me. See how these phrases flip? but say what you want. I know I'm making sense. The phrase, treat me like I was born yesterday, or you think I was born yesterday? Also the phrase, you could have fooled me. So if cold day in hell isn't accurate, let me play with some other phrases. If I was born yesterday, usually I wasn't born yesterday. If I was born yesterday, you couldn't have fooled me. Because the phrase, you think I was born yesterday is basically communicating what you think, like I don't know anything about the world. Like I'm not a fucking infant. Like I didn't just get here. I'm not stupid. I'm saying if I was born yesterday, you couldn't have fooled me. Honestly, that's just my nerdy way of doing rap braggadocio. Like, that's just me popping my shit, you know? Because in reality, yeah, like if you were born yesterday, you don't know shit. You can't even talk. You're shitting on yourself and crying. I'm saying if I was born yesterday, you couldn't have fooled me. The phrase, you could have fooled me. No, you couldn't have fooled me, even if I was born yesterday. See how these phrases flip? But say what you want. I know I'm making sense. Now, what am I referring to in these lines? Ask me. Because my personal life is my personal life. The message is communicated whether you have that context or not, listener. So yeah, say what you want, trying to fool me or trick me or gaslight me or deceive me. I know I'm making sense. I know I'm right. I know you're full of shit, no matter what you say. Essentially what I'm talking about. Also, it ends the line, or it rather ends the first verse, wrapping back to the first sentiment, harnessing hysterics regardless of merit. You might not find merit in this, but I know I'm making sense. I know what I'm saying is not gobbledygook. It's not word salad. It's nerdy, perhaps, but it all makes sense. Did it not? I just explained it all. So say what you want. You can say it's not your cup of tea. It's not the kind of music you listen to, but it makes sense. I know I'm making sense at the very least. So say what you want, whether about my music or your actions, how you treated me or what you did. Say what you want. I know I'm making sense. I know I'm not crazy. As much as the world would like me to think I am, as much as certain people would love for me. But what do I know? I know I'm making sense. Yeah. Yeah. I'll see y'all for part 2 of this breakdown.